Good evening and welcome to the Denver City Council Debates, a joint production of Colorado Public Television and AARP. I'm your host, Dominic Dezzutti. Thank you very much for joining us. Tonight we continue our series of debates looking at the open seats on the Denver City Council. We will feature candidates from Denver's District 4 tonight. We're very happy to do so. Joining us for the next 15 minutes are Kendra Black, Carolina Klein, and Halisi Vincent. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We have limited time, so let's get right to it. I'd like to ask each of you to take 1 minute to answer this question. An affordable public transportation system is vital to a livable city and to the many Denver residents who depend on it. What policies would you pursue in the City Council to promote a more affordable and accessible transportation system for all city residents? Kendra, why don't we start with you?
I agree that public transportation is very important. With increasing traffic and more people moving to Denver, it's really important that we get out of our cars and using public transportation. Our transportation costs are rising. RTD is raising prices, which is particularly hard on low-income people. I'm in favor of having subsidized transportation passes for people. I also think we need to have some creative ways to get people to our transit stops. In Southeast Denver, we do have 4 light rail stations, but it's very difficult for us to get them other than by car. We need to be a more bikeable, walkable part of town, and I'd like to explore some sort of innovative way to move people. We once had something called the B Line that moved people around Southeast Denver, and I'd be interested in exploring something like that for Southeast Denver.
Carolina, let's go to you for your answer about transportation in Denver.
I agree. Coming in my neighborhood, the bus used to come through my neighborhood. That stopped decades ago. We need to be able to get to that bus or to the transit somehow, some way. And I agree. Subsidized passes for the people that are on low incomes, fixed incomes, and also easily accessible, because those big steps are hard to get to, and especially in bad weather. You got to grab on and hope you can pull yourself up with dignity. So it's not easy, but it could be done. Mm-hmm. We're smart people. We can do this.
Halisi, let's get your thoughts on this topic.
So there are a couple of things that we need to consider. One is that we live in the suburbs, and because we live in the suburbs as opposed to close to the city center, just getting to the bus stop for a lot is problematic. My notion is that strong communities are communities that are accessible whether you're 8 or whether you're 80. And so for those in our aging population, we have folks, as I've knocked on the doors, who are trying to make ends meet by selling off heirlooms on eBay. Obviously, that's an issue. So the first thing is that we need to get them to the bus stop. Obviously, it needs to be affordable, so we can subsidize that. I know that there's already a discounted fare for seniors, but it probably doesn't go far enough because it certainly doesn't for students. The last thing is the last mile. What are we going to do once they're there? And so once again, if you're not in the city center, then you've got to make your way from where that bus or where the light rail lets off to that last mile. And so there's a definite opportunity for shuttle service for those who are over a certain age or find themselves incapable of walking that last mile.
Let's get to our next question. Denver is currently experiencing a shortage of affordable housing. If elected, what would you do to protect and increase the supply of affordable housing, specifically in light of the prospect of increased gentrification of some neighborhoods and along newly opened light rail lines? This time, let's switch up a little bit. Halisi, let's start with you.
Okay. I was just about to take a sip of water.
Glad I caught you right before that.
Yes, absolutely. So in my community, we've got 2 things going on. One is we have the second largest LGBT community in all of Denver, and as such, it is an aging LGBT community. So there's an opportunity to provide affordable housing for them. Not only affordable housing, but also housing that is assisted living. Obviously, when you have certain situations, especially with assisted living, they are a community that is often left out and feel uncomfortable under the traditional means, and so there's definitely an opportunity to provide housing for them. The second thing is that we're going to have to be a little bit more creative, and so as I've been knocking on the doors, there have been several ideas that have come from neighbors, and one is that we have underutilized office buildings in our community, and so there's an opportunity there to convert office space into housing. I see this trend happening across the nation, and it's something that we need to explore, especially when we're concerned about not only density, but also high rises that create shadows and everything else. This is something that my neighbors are very concerned about. The structures already exist. The parking already exists, so let's utilize it.
Carolina, your thoughts when it comes to affordable housing in Denver?
Well, we obviously need affordable housing. And how do you describe affordable housing? You know, affordable to who, or at what price? Affordable to who else? For what other price? It's difficult, and it's not easy. We have to work on it. We have returning veterans that need a place to live. We have, you know, and we have, of course, our elderly people that are being priced out of their own homes, and that's just, where are they going to go? I look at my house and it's like, yeah, where am I going to go if I get priced out of my cul-de-sac? It's not pretty, and we have to watch out. We have to take care, and we need to take care of each other.
Kendra, let's get your thoughts on when it comes to affordable housing and what you do about it on the City Council.
We do have a housing crisis in Denver. We have a shortage of all kinds of housing. The reason why our population is growing, the supply is low and the demand is high. A lot of people are being priced out of their homes. Our current mayor and our current city council are very concerned about that, as we all are. The Colorado Housing and Finance Authority does have tax credits available to encourage developers to build affordable housing. In Southeast Denver, we have 3 new buildings being built that are affordable units. We also have subsidized housing in Southeast Denver, but we need much more of it. Our light rail lines are the perfect places to build these units. I think the rail line out to the airport is a great opportunity because there is land available there. I hope that as a city we can come together and create a fund out of some different taxes, fees, that will help developers to build those projects.
As we get to our next question, I want to thank the Denver Commission on Aging for submitting this next one. What do you believe is the greatest barrier to older adults being able to age with dignity in their community? Carolina, we'll keep changing up the rotation here when it comes to answers. Let's start with you.
Well, to keep our older people in their own homes, well, I am the room mother of my street. You know, I have a World War II veteran on the street, I have a Korean veteran on the street, and I'm the one that cooks dinners for them and runs, and then there's a woman up the street who has had a developmentally disabled child who was an adult, and they needed to be run to the doctor, so I was the carpool. But there's not one of me on every block. We have to somehow make a network to see, watch out for your neighbor, you know. I pick up the paper for the neighbor, the Korean War veteran, because if she comes out, his wife comes out, she could fall picking up the paper, so I go up and throw it up on the. We need to just watch out for each other and take care, because we all are in this together.
Alicia, your thoughts as aging with dignity in Denver?
I think one of the biggest things is transportation, and we touched on this a little bit. You know, most folks will outlive their ability to drive effectively and safely by about a decade. So this is one of the things that definitely needs to be addressed. The other thing is making sure that there is a social network in place, that they have an opportunity for any kind of ancillary employment, and then the fourth thing is activities. And so one of the ideas that was brought to my attention is that the need of a community center. And so in Southeast Denver, on our side of the district, on the far southeast side of the district, there's not a recreation center. And that's something that I've been working on with one of the neighborhood associations. With that recreation center, we'd also like to see a senior center, as well as a DMV. All of those basic necessities are missing from the southeast corner of our district. And so with a senior center, there's an opportunity for meals, there's an opportunity for transportation, there's an opportunity for combined services. If we have one person there that is a city employee, then they can act as a concierge, so to speak, for other basic services that our aging adults need. So, you know, this is one way that we can age in place. This is one way that they can stay connected to their community. And if there's snow shoveling that needs to happen or something like that, Also, there's an opportunity for mentorships with the young people that are there. So that there we get that civic engagement.
Kendra, wrap it up with us.
I think one of the most important things is for seniors to be able to live the way they want to live the kind of life they want to live. So if it's staying in their own home, we need to help connect them with the resources they need to stay in their own home. And there are a lot of organizations out there who help seniors to do just that. A lot of times they're difficult to find. If I'm elected to City Council, I will dedicate staff time to helping to connect seniors to the resources that they need. And the flip side of that is a lot of seniors don't want to stay in their own homes and they want to move on to something different, whether it's assisted living, affordable housing, an apartment. And a lot of times that's a big step that a lot of them aren't able to make on their own. And again, I would dedicate staff time to helping seniors find a perfect place for them.
Well, it goes very quick in the studio, so it's now time for our closing statements. We've asked each of our candidates to provide a 30-second closing statement. Before the taping began, we picked numbers out of a hat to determine our order. So our first one up is Halisi Vincent. Halisi, your 30 seconds.
Thank you. My name is Halisi Vincent, and I'm asking to be your representative on City Council for District 4. This election's not about me. It's about you. It's about you, your values, and your vision. It's not about the status quo. It's about leadership and who has the skill set, the passion, and the tenacity to fight for your vision of our community. I am asking for your vote. And I'm asking for your vote because you want to vote for the person who is supported not only by the neighborhood businesses, but also supported by the unions. You want to vote for the person who has already been engaging city services and community leaders to execute your vision for our community. I am that person. I am the community advocate with an MBA, and I would love to represent you on City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolina, you're up next.
Time went by quickly here.
It did.
Yes, it did.
Well, I want to work for you. I'm not beholden to anybody for backing me. I just want to work for you. I want to be the caregiver for you at City Council. I want to stand up for what you want, and I will work hard for you. And aquí estoy para servirle. Here I am to serve you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carolina. And finally, our last closing statement, Kendra.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you, Halisi and Carolina, for this opportunity. I am Kendra Black. I am running to represent you in Southeast Denver. I'm very excited. I'm running to ensure that everyone in Southeast Denver has a voice in the decisions made about how our city grows. Working together, we can ensure that our economy remains strong, we preserve our neighborhood character, and we address the challenges ahead of us. As a Denver native, I know that Southeast Denver is the best part of our city, and if I am elected, I will do my very best to make it stay that way. Again, my name is Kendra Black, and I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendra. And that is all the time we have for a look at the Denver City Council race in District 4. Stay tuned. We're about to get into our District 6 debate. I'd like to thank all of our candidates for joining us, Kendra Black, Carolina Klein, and Halisi Vincent. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do stick around for that debate on District 6 happening right now. If you're just tuning in, this is the Denver City Council debate series we are producing in conjunction with AARP that takes a look at all the candidates running for the open Denver City Council races. For the next 15 minutes, we'll talk with the two candidates running for District 6. Joining us now are Liz Adams and Paul Cashman. Thank you very much both for joining us. We have limited time, so let's get right to it. I'd like to ask each of you to take 1 minute to answer this question. An affordable public transportation system is vital to a livable city and to the many Denver residents who depend on it. What policies would you pursue in the City Council to promote a more affordable and accessible transportation system for all city residents? Liz, let's start with you.
Well, as you know, the City Council has made that one of their priorities in the upcoming budget year, is to really look at our transportation system here in Denver. And it's critical. As we grow, we need to make sure that we have the transportation to support our growth. I think the things that we need to do are looking at how we're going to get people that first and last mile, get them to reach the transportation is absolutely important. I think it's also important to make sure that we encourage more people to take transportation. I think what we're finding is that we need to have a program that gets more people aware of what's available out there in terms of transportation. We need to up the ante in getting people from our areas of density into our areas of density, and then from our areas of density to other places that they need to go. I think that means working a lot with RTD, and it also means thinking outside the box a bit. And I know that Councilwoman Sussman is looking and talking with Bridge, which is an organization that will bring in sort of a shared van service that you go to an app on your phone and you can join a few other people to take a shared ride. RTD also offers that in other municipalities, and I'd like to look at trying to do some of that in Denver to make some more and better connections.
Paul, your thoughts when it comes to transportation in Denver?
Well, I agree it needs to be the highest of priorities in our city right now. We need to get Denver moving again. And I've called for a transportation summit where we bring together all elements of the people mover puzzle, being RTD, CDOT. The city might start thinking about circulator shuttles, such as Boulder's been doing in other cities. The online transportation platforms like Bridge, Uber and Lyft, as well as the pedestrian and bicycle folks. There are people, again, being extremely creative around the country to get things moving. I know Seattle has looked at stripping parking in certain areas where it makes sense to allow for dedicated bus lanes and bike lanes. I think we just need to elevate it to the priority, bring everybody together, and I think the solutions are there to be had, along with there's some sensible construction we can do, finding turn lanes where we need to move things along.
Denver is currently experiencing a shortage of affordable housing. If elected, what would you do to protect and increase the supply of affordable housing, specifically in light of the prospect of increased gentrification of some neighborhoods and along newly open light rail lines? Let's mix up our order. Paul, why don't you start this one?
Sure. Denver, this is participating in what is a nationwide crisis. I read the other day New York is short 100,000 units is the number they're talking. We're somewhere less than that, but it's equally as important a situation. So we've been tinkering with the inclusionary housing ordinance. That's not giving us the bump that we need. I like to think of it that we need to return Denver to offering a full range of price points. So no matter where you are on the economic spectrum, if you want to make Denver your home, there's a suitable place for you to move in. I think we need to put together a pot of money, whether that comes from some sort of mill levy or whether it's a bond issue, to be more aggressive than we have been. We're a little tied up in some areas with the construction defects legislation that's hindered the construction of affordable condominiums. We're hamstrung a bit by state law that also disallows municipalities from looking at any form of rent control. But I think by being more aggressive, perhaps the city takes more of a role in taking some of that pot of money that we assemble in building affordable units. Perhaps some of that we allow to make it easier for people to get in. It's something that we need to pay attention to real quickly because it's become a crisis.
Liz, your thoughts when it comes to affordable housing in Denver?
You know, this is a really critical issue, and I think as I've been knocking on doors, especially when I'm talking to younger people, the millennials, and then seniors as well, it's absolutely critical that we look at it. I think that we have to also acknowledge that this is a metropolitan problem, right? You know, this is not just Denver. Aurora is experiencing the same things, the other municipalities that touch our borders. And so I think we have to look at it from a metro perspective, but then from a Denver perspective, I think there are a few things. You know, back in October, the mayor released his Housing Denver plan. That is a great plan. There are some really great ideas in that. However, if we don't adopt that and begin to work on it, then it's just going to be another plan that goes up on the shelf. So one of the first things I would love to do is work with the City Council to get that adopted, and then begin taking the steps to do a lot of the things that are listed there. Some of those include public-private partnerships. Again, you know, our inclusionary housing ordinance has not met the need, and we need a more sustainable funding source for affordable housing, and I think that's something that we absolutely need to do. So I think that's the second piece that the council needs to work on. I think in terms of apartments, you know, I've done a little bit of research, as much as you can when you're on the campaign trail, but there are some places that do rent equity programs, and it's a great idea, right? That people come in and they may rent for quite a long time in the same place. They're stable, and some of that rent might go to an escrow fund that they could then use to purchase housing at a later date. I think that's something that we could look at. It's a puzzle. It's complicated, but I think, you know, we as a city are capable of thinking outside the box and finding other solutions, other partnerships to make it happen.
We'd like to thank the Denver Commission on Aging for submitting this next question. What do you believe is the greatest barrier to older adults being able to age with dignity in their community? Liz, we'll start with you.
Well, I think some of it is affordability, and I've had a couple conversations with seniors. I think the oldest door I've knocked on, Paul, I don't know you, but 102. I knocked on somebody and they were a door, and it was a 102-year-old. And so many people want to stay in their homes, and so we need to give them some more services and access to more services. You know, there's some great programs out there, nonprofit programs that are helping to serve our seniors, and I think that's important. I think we have to create some affordable housing for our seniors so that they can, if they want to move out of their home into a different environment, they can do that. There are some that are sort of stuck where they are. I think that as we look towards serving our seniors, we know we're going to have a lot more seniors, and so we're going to have to continue to develop our services and also make it easier for them to transition into places like retirement facilities. My mother-in-law, for instance, lives in a Brookdale facility where she has access to food and programs and transportation. It's just about taking the services up a notch and providing what our seniors need.
Paul, your thoughts on aging with dignity here in Denver?
Sure. Yeah, if senior wants to remain at home, a number of issues. The basic, how do you get basic chores taken care of? And there are a lot of agencies in the area that can help with that. One in District 6 area, organization called A Little Help that provides services that help people take care of their day-to-day chores, help them get to appointments and so on. The transportation as well. If you're trying to remain in your home, transportation it becomes critical to get to social events, whether it's a senior center or a doctor's appointment. And that goes back to what we were talking about before, the urgent need to improve our transportation. The affordable housing for seniors wanting to downsize and not go into a nursing facility or assisted living, it's critical. There's nowhere for them to go. Another area that I think is really important, the Older Coloradans Act, which provides funds to be dispersed through the area agencies on aging, is chronically underfunded. There's a bill now to add another $4 million to keep nutrition services and transportation and so on funded adequately so our seniors can get the help they needed. So I think it's a comprehensive package of things that we need to pay attention to.
It's almost time for closing statements, but let me ask just a short answer question. Do you support the current CDOT proposal regarding the building of I-70 in North Denver that would actually bury the highway below grade and establish a park near the Elyria and Swansea neighborhoods? Paul, I believe it's your turn to start. Just again, a short answer.
Sure. I'm concerned about that project. They're talking about tripling the footprint, and they're presenting it as something they're doing for these neighborhoods. I don't think the impacts have been studied adequately. I know CDOT is anxious to get moving. I think there's more work to be done.
Liz, your short answer to that question.
You know, and we certainly have been approached by a lot of people about this issue. And I am really undecided because I haven't been able to really dig deep into all the background information. I've done sort of a cursory look at what's happening. And, you know, this has been going on for a long time. And I know that we're going to have to come to a decision. I think one of the biggest issues is the funding. And part of the reason that they're dropping it down and eliminating the overpass is so that they can access and leverage some additional funding. It's an interesting thought, but it's something that I think you know, I still need to consider and really take a good hard look at both sides.
Okay, well, let's get to it. It's time for our closing statements, and we ask each of our candidates to give us a 30-second closing statement. We picked numbers out of a hat before the taping, and Paul, you drew first, so your first 30-second closing statement.
Thank you. My name is Paul Cashman, and I'm honored to be a candidate to represent District 6 on Denver City Council. I'm the only candidate for municipal office that has pledged to not take PAC or special interest monies to fund my campaign. My only special interests are the constituents of District 6. I've spent almost 4 decades as publisher of the Washington Park Profile newspaper, standing up for strong and safe neighborhoods, vibrant business community, and well-managed, well-maintained parklands. I hope to carry on that same legacy on Denver City Council, and I'd like your vote on May 5th and in the days before. Thank you.
Paul, thank you. And Liz, your 30-second closing statement.
I'm Liz Adams, and I want to be your next city councilor from District 6. I feel like I have a great history and background in public service. I started out working at the legislature, staffed the House and Senate Education Committees, and later worked for members of the legislature doing policy and constituent service. And I believe that is a strong skill set to be a city council person. I've also served on a lot of community boards, been involved in the schools, and worked with a lot of nonprofits, and feel like those skills that I've built will make me a solid city council person. I look forward to bringing people together in our district and in our city to solve the problems and address the important issues, some of which we discussed here today, to be a great city council person. I would be honored to have your support, and I hope that you will vote by May 5th. Thanks.
I'd like to thank both of our candidates, Liz Adams and Paul Cashman, for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Join us next Friday to hear from the 9 candidates in the race for the 7th District, airing at 7 and 7:30. Alphabetically, we have the first 5 at 7, the next 4 at 7:30. Tune in for the whole hour, and I think you'll be very happy to do so. You see all 9 candidates right here on Colorado Public Television. For everyone here at CPT 12 and at the AARP, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thank you very much for watching.